Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar, Effective Customer Onboarding and Provisioning. Uh, my name is Sumit and I will be getting started now. So a little bit of introduction about myself before we get started. I am a founder of Askmeidentity and I have been into Okta consulting for about 10 years now. And I have implemented a lot of solutions to different business organizations. And today in this webinar, I will be presenting you how you can manage your customers using Okta, right? So we'll get started now. Thank you. So in this webinar, we will first introduce what is Okta Customer Identity and Access Management, and then we'll go through the best practices of implementing Okta Customer Identity Access Management. And then we'll look into few strategies which we can onboard and leverage CIAM from Okta. So first of all, we need to understand what is customer identity access management, right? So customer is anyone like who purchases products from us or who is availing service from us. It can be a business customer, it can be a direct customer, right? So customer identity and access management refers to a module where we manage those customers, onboard their identities, right? From sign up to their login to their day-to-day authentications, their change of password, user management, and so on. Now, why do we need to do customer identity access management? So that it can provide extended security, so it protects against breaches and fraud. It provides improved user experiences, simplifies like login processes, right? It makes it easy for our users to log in, register, and manage their credentials throughout they are our customer. Also, based on the regulatory compliances, it is required for us to like provide a security to our user authentication. So customer identity and access management helps large organizations there. Business growth. So with a better CIM, we would be able to like drive better user growth. User would have a good experience when they're visiting our application and navigating through, right? And it helps in business to convert those customers into sales. Real world example of this can be two companies like Hitachi Vantara and English Cricket Board, ECB, right, which have used customer identity access management with Okta, and they have achieved a good number of successes in their customer journey. Now, what is Okta Customer Identity and Access Management? So Okta is a platform which provides identity and access management, and it helps you like manage your users, groups, single sign-on, right? Now, Okta Customer Identity and Access Management is very much important to your customer identity business so that you can focus more on your business logic, developing your applications, which is uh, required by the users, and less focusing on the security of it because Okta will take care of it. So in today's webinar, we'll explore how Okta can use customer identity access management and can secure your customers while you focus on your business. Now, what is the process of managing account in Okta? So account management starts with creating the user or creating the customer. Customers in a customer identity access management scenario can be created mostly using a self-service. So example, Gmail. So whenever we want to create an account in Gmail, we go to gmail.com and we sign up ourselves. It can also be an admin setup for a business customer, but mostly it will be a self-service. Then account updates, user from time to time will look to update their display picture, their addresses, their attribute, or their passwords. Finally, if a user is no longer needed or a user requests for an account deletion, as per the privacy rules, we need to delete the account. So we need to have a way of deleting the account securely, removing all the information we have about that user. And we also need to process few personal identification attributes like their name, phone number, email address, which we need to store securely into our identity and access management system of our customers. And personalizing user experience based on their profile data can be very helpful so that we would be able to sell a targeted product to our users. So we can store anything which is personalized by the user into an Okta attribute. Now, this is the management of an account into Okta. Now we'll see what are the different features which Okta offers um, for this account management. So one of the most important feature when it comes to managing customer is progressive profiling. So if you have gone to websites where you see that as soon as you sign up, it asks you hundreds of questions, right? Your street address, your phone number, all at once. That gives a bad user experience because user might not feel confident enough to provide these many information at once. So progressive profiling is a technique which is recommended in customer identity so that you onboard a customer with only minimum record information, let's say a phone number or only with an email address. And once the customer has been onboarded, customer has started using your product, you can then ask a prompt customer from time to time for more information. And if you also have multiple products, then you can create attributes which you can ask the customer and cross-sell these different applications using a single identity access management. So progressive profiling um, helps you in collecting user data from the user itself without during the sign-up process, but once the user has been onboarded, created in your IAM system, afterwards when user is accessing your product, at that point of time you can ask those questions. So it benefits you in like reducing initial conversation with users, so it would be a frictionless onboarding for the user. um, Okta also supports progressive profiling. So once you enable the self-registration into Okta and user would log in the next time into Okta would prompt the user for the missing information. Uh, Scenario could be when if you, let's say you go into Facebook or Gmail, right? At only at that point of time, they only ask you your first name, last name, and they create a profile. Later on, once you are a Gmail customer, then they would ask you to set up a multi-factor or provide a phone number later on the third or second authentication. So initially, they would convert you into a customer as you come through their sign-up process with the minimum information of first and last name and date of birth, and then uh, the backup account number, backup phone number could be asked by Gmail so that you will not run away from the product. Now, some of the challenges which we see in customer identity management is security risk. Data breaches can like have a bad name of our business. We have seen recently so many data breaches which has happened, and a lot of user data has been lost, right? So having a security around the data breaches, our identity security is very much required. and that is one of the biggest challenge in customer identity management scenarios. User experience is again, based on what product we use, we would be able to either enhance or decrease the user experience. So we need to focus on an optimal security which does not decrease the user experience, because if user is not interested in our product, if user has a bad experience, user would leave our product, and definitely that is a loss for us. So we need to think from a business perspective where we also need to enhance the user experience, make it easy for the user to navigate through our product, to register themselves, to manage their account from day to day, and to manage their accesses. From the compliance perspective, also it becoming very much required to follow GDPR, CCPA if we have businesses in European or US countries, right, or Canada, so that we would only process those identity attributes, we would secure those identity attributes as per the compliance of those privacy of those countries. Now, if we do not follow this, then the impact can be very much higher, that it can lead us with a poor identity management. It can have our data breaches everywhere, right? Anybody would be able to like log in on behalf of other users if there is a data breach. So we need to secure, we need to design a customer identity solution which is also secure, robust, and scalable. And that's where Okta comes in. So Okta provides different solutions, different features which will help you in securing your identity and managing a frictionless user experience. So if we look at the features of Okta, we have single sign-on. So if you have more than one application, say for example, again, Google has more than one application. They have Drive, they have Gmail, they have YouTube. But for all of these applications, you do not need to sign up again and again, right? You use only one profile, you sign up one time, and you get access to all of these profiles. So because they have a same backend for all of those other products. So single sign-on is one of the capability which is very much essential if you have multiple products, so that users, when they signed up for one of your product, they can easily navigate and log in using the same credentials into your second product, and that will help you in cross-selling and upgrading the licenses for the users. Multi-factor authentication to secure user authentication, so that even if, let's say, there is a data breach and the password is lost, user account is still secure, because in a customer scenario, privacy is at topmost priority, and identity security is topmost priority. Once we have a data breach, we would see there's a lot of customers who would move away from our businesses. They would not have a trust on our business, so MFA is mandatory. Again, when it comes to customer, we cannot overdo security. So if we are planning to have multi-factor prompted at every time the user is logging in, at every process of authentication, that is also a bad user experience. So we need to design an MFA solution which is at an optimal, which provides security at the same time it also leverages user experience. Then Okta also provides universal directory where we can store users, their attributes, their purchasing transactions, let's say the last 5 transactions, so that we can design an automated flow of sending them targeted email to buy our next product. We can also store their subscription status if we are providing any kind of subscriptions. Then we can also design APIs for our businesses, and we can secure those APIs using Okta's authorization server. So instead of using a custom authentication on those APIs, we can use Okta, so that if there is a secure token from Okta, then only user would be able to access those APIs, or application can call. So that can provide more security. Scalability, Okta can easily handle like millions of users and authentication transactions per second, per minute as well. So this provides you to scale your business. If you have a million customers and they're logging in at the same time, you are not facing any challenges in your identity authentication mechanism. Then Okta provides all the leading security standards, and they are certified by IST2, GDPR, FCPA, right? So they have all kind of certifications. So if you're a business of any kind, financial, health, retail, you would be covered from the compliances perspective. Then Okta integrates seamlessly with your other systems. So let's say, apart from your own product solutions, if you are purchasing a support solution like ServiceNow or Salesforce, so that you can provide us a support or ticketing module to your customers, you can easily integrate those solutions with Okta. And lastly, with all of these, it enhances your user experience. They have a more trust on your business, and definitely it converts more into your sell. So this is how Okta would help you in your managing your customer and enhancing your business with Okta. Now, we will discuss about the different implementation strategies, how Okta would be able to help you in achieving these customer identity scenarios. So one is the very basic one, which starts with self-registration in Okta, where you enable a self-registration process and ask for required attributes in a form, and once user has filled in the form, and user can go for an email verification. uh, Once you have verified your customer with their right email address, then you can create an automated flow where you can assign different purchasing licenses to the or subscription status to the user, and user can start accessing your product. Again, you can also do a progressive profiling with self-registration, where users would be challenged to give more information about their attributes, which is missing during the sign-up process, so that you can target them more based on whatever you know about that user. So that will help you create a personalized user interaction scenario. Now, self-registration, we will discuss in detail how self-registration works. So take Askmeidentity as an example, where Askmeidentity, we sell and provide training courses, right? So if you come to our training website, and let's say if you click on login, and if I'm using a self-registration with Okta, then basically I'm using an Okta hosted widget. So it has a redirection. So when you come to login, and we redirect you to an Okta system where you do a authentication, or if you do not have an account, you sign up for an account. And once you are authenticated or signed up, and you have verified your email address, you come back to Ask Me Identity as an authenticated user, and you can now browse through your courses. So this provides a way of like having the onboarding, login, MFA, and anything related to the account security with authentication security managed by Okta, as Okta provides, Okta has a better solution than what we can define ourselves, right? So we can leverage Okta using self-registration process and Okta hosted widget. But there are other ways of how we can achieve this as well using Okta. So Okta also provide an embedded sign-in widget or Auth SDK. So instead of redirecting our user to a third-party provider like Okta, we can have that in our own application. So that provides less friction to the user. We can also do more branding. So we would be able to customize the form. We would be able to customize the color and match it with what our app has to offer, instead of looking at the basic customization of Okta. So it enables like sign up, login, recovery directly from your app. So you don't have to redirect a user to any Okta portal. You would be able to like customize a widget, forms, colors, and backgrounds, everything as per your need, right? You would be able to implement uh, new processes, new flows with the introduction of interaction code grant by Okta. You would be able to control more over user identity because it never leaves your application. And the flow would be like, let's say if I am going to use embedded sign-in widget or an Okta authentication SDK, then user would come to my application, ask me identity. Let's say they have explored the courses, now they want to log in uh, and view more information, right? Or they want to purchase. So when they click on login, instead of me redirecting them to an Okta login page like in the previous scenario, here I would show them a login page within my application itself, and they would enter username, password, and their authentication will be successful. If they do not have an account, they would have an option to sign up here, and they can create their account, and they would be an authenticated user. So they never go outside of my application. I retain the user. So that gives us more good user experiences than a redirection model, especially when you have a mobile application, and if you click on login or sign up, it opens up a browser that does not give more better experience to the user. So if you have a native authentication system, that is more powerful for your user experience, and embedded widget provides just that. Then we also have Okta's APIs. We have authentication APIs. We have newly identity engine IDX APIs, which can use interaction code grant, and we can customize it more granularly so that we would be able to control each and every piece of authentication process from our application itself. And the one difference which you would observe between an Okta API and an embedded widget is an embedded widget, although we can customize it to a bit, we would not be able to fully customize it to what we need, because it is a code which Okta has written. It is an iframe which is going to load in your computer, in your application using the JavaScript. But when you use Okta APIs, then you can scale more. You would be able to like use APIs at any point of time instead of like challenging a user for multi-factor during the authentication. You might be able to challenge the user after the user has authenticated and trying to perform some elevated steps, which we call it as a step-up MFA, right? There will be no redirection to Okta, which will give more better user experience. So user never leaves the app. User is coming to the app and user remains in your application. And you can customize the entire login flow, branding. You do not have to load a dynamic flow form from Okta, like how you do an embedded widget. So Okta APIs are more powerful, and it's recommended if you want to go for a larger branding. Now, finally, we'll discuss about some best practices and recommendations, which I have seen and implemented in different organizations, where they would be implementing customer identity and access management scenarios, some recommendation how to manage a customer, what to avoid, what to do and not to do with your customers. So one of them is I always recommend to give them a flexible login option. So your user can first come to your website from your application. They can browse through the important information in your application, and then you would have certain options to uh, protect it and certain options which is freely available for anyone as a public, right? So once user has again through your website, they have gone through the content for which they do not need an authentication, they have more trust, and now they are interested to log in. So at that point of time, this is very helpful. It will help in more conversion. Anonymous user, so if you might have observed, like when you go to Amazon, you can add an item to the cart. You would be able to browse through an item, see the pricing, and during the checkout or after the checkout, they ask you for an authentication. And if your account does not exist, then they would create your account with the email address provided during the checkout process. So this helps in anonymous user browsing, where you do not need the user to authenticate first during their initial go through your application, and after they have been already converted into a cell, you are then targeting those users to become your customer, right? So you have already made your business with them. So this improves in your business conversion. Progressive profiling, which is like less question first here. So you would use progressive profiling techniques so that you would only ask, let's say if you only need their phone number to sign up their account, you would not ask them any other information. Once user has signed up and started using your application, and as they go through from module to module in your application, whatever attribute you need, you can ask the user at that point of time. So this would help them be engaged with your application rather than doing a form filling. Use of step-up MFA. So instead of like as per security, we prompt for multi-factor during the authentication. But if we sometimes look from an user perspective, that is not what user expect at all the point of time to be ready with an authenticator or with an OTP to enter, right? So user would expect them to like log in using a username, password, or a social login. And once they are logged in, they are going through the applications. They would only try to do MFA when something important, something which can affect their account is happening, right? So that we can leverage using step-up MFA, for which we can use Okta's APIs, or we can use a back channel authentication, and we can verify user credentials other than password only at the time if user is doing an elevated action. Social login definitely helps in more conversion, because nowadays users, everybody has a social account. They have Instagram, Facebook, and instead of creating again a new account and managing the credentials, user would prefer to use those existing account. So your users would be able to log in using Facebook, Instagram, and other credentials. So social login would help you sign up faster instead of a user email authentication and so on. And finally, I advise to use a single IAM directory so that all of your users are at the same place, and you would be able to then have one identity of an application also in your second application and do a cross-selling of those identities, right? You would be able to promote your other products to them, and for that they don't have to sign up. They just need to accept that they want to buy that product. They need to pay the subscription fee, and they do not need to create any other account. They already have an account. They can use the same method of authentication, same factors. So that is more intuitive than having multiple IAM solutions or directories for each of your product. So this is about our customer identity and access management, and we provide even more insight, depth about customer identity access management in consulting, trainings. So we have uh, implemented this for a large organizations. One of the case study is a customer needed a scalable and secure solution for managing their customer, right? We approached them and we provided them with an Okta solution which can do a single sign-on, multi-factor registration, and we also help them brand their login, logout error pages. This resulted in like 30% reduction in their account recovery request because earlier they had their native way of managing these customers. Now using Okta, they can manage this customer well. So the account recovery process requests are less. Customers can log in with more option other than username password. They can do a passwordless authentication. They can log in with an OTP and so on. And this also helped them increase their security posture so that they do not need to worry about the compliance at a larger, right? Okta can take care of those. Now, this was only a tip of the iceberg. Again, I would not be able to cover the entire CIAM processes and aspects within these stringent hours. So we have different optimized courses available on askmeidentity.com, and you can explore more about CIAM if you are interested. Definitely, this is one of the demanding market. People, a lot of businesses are targeting to our customers, and every businesses is looking toward implementing Okta or one of its solutions, right? So that they can enhance the security posture. And for any information, you can contact us on these contact information. And now it's time for your Q&A. So you can post your questions and comments on the chat so that we can help you answer with your question. I have one question from Subhajit. Is it similar to Azure and B2C? It is similar to Azure B2C, yes. Azure AD has B2B and B2C module. The B2B is mostly targeted towards having workforce employees or business partners, while B2C is the one which helps in customer management. So this will be a similar approach to Azure AD B2C, yes. Any limitations in creating custom attributes while setting up a recipe profiling? As of now, there is no defined limitations, but you can set up to 100 attributes. I think that this is the far away than you need for any of your customer. Yes, it has a custom policy. You can create policies within Okta, and you can target your customers. You can create authentication policy. You can create multi-factor policies, password policies. You can define the complexity. There is one question from Natras. We can maintain customer identities in Okta tenant itself without using CIAM, right? So CIAM is not a product, it's a strategy. When you use Okta and when you manage customers, it is called as Okta CIAM. I can see one more question, which is what will be the roles and responsibilities for Okta CIAM consultant in delivering CIAM solutions? So the role of a consultant is to understand the business, how the business is operating, and then design a solution which can leverage this business prospects and keeping the security in the mind and the user experience in the mind so that you can design the best solutions for your business, right? So you have to think about how your users would approach your business, how would they would use your product, right? What are the things they access in your product? What security do you need for those products? So those architectural thinking has to be needed when you work as an Okta consultant for CIM delivery. Okta in general has social media, so not just the CIM. You can have Google, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn authentication, and even you can like enable your own custom solution if you have with Okta through Authenticate with Okta. Yes, I have a question from Mohammed Asif if Auth 0 is different from Okta CIM. Yes, Okta CIM and Auth 0 are two different products. Okta core product itself has a customer identity management solution, while Auth 0 is a totally different product. It is from Okta itself, but it is also to manage your customers. So when you want to go deeper into customer management, let's say you also want to validate their KYC, you also want to have custom action, you want to have a pre-login actions, a post-login action, a pre-registration action, and a post-registration actions. When you want to have those kind of modules, then you can go with Auth 0 because Auth 0 is a great product to provide those, while Okta CIM can leverage all other customer identity and access management prospect. And the benefit of using Okta CIM then Auth 0 is you would be able to manage your workforce and customers if you have both of these at once together in a centralized identity and access management solution. Guardian Verify is used by Auth 0. And yes, if you're using Okta CIC, which is Auth 0, that Guardian Verify is their uh, authenticator application, similar to Okta Verify in the core Okta product. Yes, we can use Okta Verify for CIM. You would be able to, like, if you are using Okta Core solution, yes, you can. If you are using Auth 0, then you cannot directly use an Okta Verify, but you can use Okta Verify TOTP method because when you use TOTP, you can use any authenticator, including Okta Verify. This is very interesting question. How do we handle risk management in Okta? Now, risk management can be categorized into a very broader aspects, right? You have to first identify your risk. And let's say if it's a security risk, you can, like if it's a risk towards bot, if it's risk toward password spray, then you would be have to create different policies, different security configuration within Okta to manage those risks. Then I have one more question, which is in SIAM security perspective, there are attacks from Okta sign-in help is like bot kind of request, which hits rate limit. So if you want to prevent from bot attacks, then you can enable CAPTCHA integration. Okta supports CAPTCHA integration as well, and that will help you in preventing your rate limits, the number of API caused by those bots. Also, Okta has recently come up with user prevention and password spray attacks. So if somebody from unknown devices is trying to use those, that would not affect your organization's rate limit, or that will not affect your organization's users. But if it is coming from a known device which your user have previously used, then it will affect. And then there is another question is, can we record these events from sign-in page requests and send it to Datadog Splunk? Yes, definitely you can. So you can do it in multiple ways. Okta support direct integration with Splunk for your log management. It also support event hook, which can be leveraged to send it to other uh, SIM solutions. SIAM solutions can vary, so it depends upon what exactly are you trying to manage with the customers. Yes, it may require you to know programming languages. It definitely the language on which your app is built, so that you can integrate a lot of features of Okta or Auth0, and then you need to know specifically JavaScript or anything to automate that, to create a backend webhook server to send automatic emails messages to those users. Then I can see how can we compare Ping, ForgeRock, SIAM to Okta SIAM. We can compare Ping or ForgeRock SIAM to Okta SIAM. So Ping also provide a Ping SSO for customers where they uses a similar kind of flows to for registration and for sign up. But the difference which I have seen within Ping and Okta is highly customizable, while Ping uses a concept of flow. We can definitely customize it, but it's not as intuitive as Okta. Okta provides different SDKs, which is currently not available with Ping. Uh, but one thing which is better in Ping is Ping provides a device binding. So if you are more into the mobile aspect, Ping as a super customer has worked better for my customers. Okta and Auth0 both same. No, they are not same. They're from the same company, but they are a different product. Okta Workforce and Okta Customer Identity Access Management is part of core Okta product, while Auth0 is Okta Customer Entities solution, which is targeted more towards having a dedicated customer management solution with higher number of SLAs, higher number of bandwidth than the core Okta product. We have one question from Samrat, which is Okta product is same, but we use it for internal org users management and customer. Yes, the product is same, but you need to ask your customer account manager to enable the CIAM licensing for you. The licensing part of it differs from the normal Okta org which you have been using for your workforce. So in today's session, we have seen these different strategies of implementing a customer entity. What we are targeting for tomorrow is how we can show you a demo of using this embedded widget and APIs so that you can see in action how these can be integrated. I have also prepared a demo application which you would be able to download tomorrow, and you would be able to configure while I am doing it. So it would be more intuitive, a guided hands-on exercise for you to check how customer identity works and take a heap on it. Identity governance refers to like governing the accesses of a user to knowing who assigned this access and if the access is any longer needed or not, right? So and to certify, right, from an application owner that okay, this user would continue to need access or they can be removed. Those are part of identity governance. Okta has recently introduced identity governance. Again, SIAM consultant, yes, definitely should have the hands-on skill on everything in IAM administration, in SDK development. From the Okta perspective, if you're targeting Okta consultant, yes, from Okta perspective, you should be able to know how to implement sign-in widget or the core Okta APIs to do the authentication. Programming language, you can choose any of your choice. It can be Java, Python, JavaScript, which is more favorable because today we are creating a lot of single page applications based on the JavaScript framework. So if you know JavaScript, that will have more prospect. But if your organization is building apps in Java or Python, definitely you need to learn that language. And you can also combine the CI/CD pipeline for automatic Okta environment management. Okta Auth SDK, Okta Auth JS, and there are other like there are APIs. Okta Auth SDK and all of these SDKs uses Okta APIs at the backend, right? So you can directly also use those APIs and interact with Okta. With the invent of interaction code by Okta, you don't even have to redirect to the authorization server. You can directly make an API call to the authorization server and would be able to go through each and every step which Okta widget ideally does yourself. Okta Java SDK is a language-based SDK. Okta Auth SDK is the SDK which is also available in Java called as Okta Java SDK. Okta has SDKs in almost every languages which you can use. Now, I would like to bring Abhishek Pandey on stage as well so that he can talk more about Ask Me Identity, and that would be the thanks for today. Abhishek. So there is one more question from Samrat, which is Okta doesn't have IGA. Okta has IGA now. Okta has recently introduced it, and it is not what you would expect from like SailPoint or Sapient, but it is getting there. So Okta definitely has an IT solution now. There is a question from Harameshwar that he had some issue using Okta Java SDK jar file. So that we need to check, right? What exactly have you been using with the Java SDK? Like, how have you been using those functions, methods, and so on, to tell you more about what error you might have seen in your Eclipse. Uh, CIAM will have to change from time to time. You have to adapt with your users, and you have to be in the trend what other organizations are doing, right? So you have to keep very quickly keep on making changes into your CIAM delivery aspects. It's not like workforce when you set up once and it is good for a certain number of years. CIAM is very much dynamic, and you have to be on top of your game to retain your customers. All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. If you have any questions, anything, you can reach out to us on the displayed support numbers and email address, and we'll happily answer your queries. Thank you.